Hello and welcome to Low Budget Gaming, and in this video I'll be making some build videos for the newly released Ryzen 2200G and the Ryzen 2400G processor with Vega graphics. A couple of people have asked me to make a build video within a certain price range, so this will be a longer video and I'll explain how this video will be divided so it'll be easy for you to navigate. I'll put the timestamps below. So what I'm going to do in this video, I'll be making a few builds with the Ryzen 2200G processor. I'll make hopefully another one with the 2400G, but this is like the budget one, so I wanted to get this one out first. I'll make one setup for India, one for the US and two for the UK, and I'll put timestamps so depending on which region you are, you can watch the specific ones, because obviously different places sell products at different prices. There are taxes and local differences, so availability also comes into play sometimes. But if you are watching this, I would recommend you watch the whole thing, because I won't be using the exact same parts for all the builds, so you might get different ideas depending on whether you can find the products in your region. So let's begin. First up, I'll look at the Indian market. My budget is around 30 to 35k. This was requested by Phoenix Spider on my Discord channel, and he had asked me last week, so I told him as soon as the new APUs come out I'll make a video for him. So he also wanted a recommendation for a monitor, so a cheap monitor. He wanted a 720p monitor, so I'll make that as well after the end, but I'll keep the main build separate. So my budget is maximum of 35, so we'll be using the 2200G processor like I said. So here's the card. I'm using the website Prime ABGB, and this is like the officially recommended by AMD or something, because I saw them on the AMD site, and also I can't find them on Amazon. So as soon as the Amazon stock is there, I'll put the links as well, but for now I'll be using the Prime ABGB website for the card. So we have the Ryzen 2200G processor with the Radeon Vega 8 graphics. This comes in at 9,557 rupees. Now if you are curious, if you're in the US or UK, this is a lot more than what you will be paying. 9,557 is $149 or about 107 pounds. So we are paying a lot more already. Hopefully this comes down, but we also have taxes and basically lack of suppliers. We are going to use the Gigabyte GA B350M gaming motherboard, B350. Now the reason why I've gone for this one is this is a nice B350 board, and if you want to upgrade the processor you can do that using the same motherboard. You'll have a very decent motherboard. The hard drive we are using is the Western Digital Caviar Blue 1TB internal hard drive, 3,130 rupees. Power supply we are using is the Corsair VS450 power supply, 450 watts. Now once again 450 watts is overkill for this system, because the TDP on the APU is only 65 watts, and you won't really, in fact 100 watts would be enough. But so instead of sort of going cheap on the power supply, I always recommend buying a good power supply, and so this is my recommendation, is 2,200 rupees. Also, in case you do want to buy a graphics card in the future, or you want to upgrade to a Ryzen 5 or something, you won't need to buy a power supply again. So that is my logic. The case I'm going for is a simple no frills design. This is the Corsair Carbide 100R mid tower case. Basic, very basic case, but well built, solid. I'm always happy with Corsair cases. So 2,816 for that. And finally the RAM. Now RAM is a tricky one right now, because if you look at the prices your hearts will sink. So unfortunately this is even worse in India, because I can't even find a lot of variety, let alone finding them for expensive prices. So for right now I'm only recommending 2 times 4 GB, this 8 GB 2400 megahertz. Now the problem with this APU is you need faster memory and in dual channel mode. So I have bought the 2 sticks, but 3200 was just simply not available for a reasonable price, let's say. So I've added this, but I've left a bit of room in terms of the final build. So instead of 35 I've gone to about 32.5. So if you want to bite the bullet and spend the extra money on RAM, I would recommend getting the 3200 megahertz 16 GB. That will cost you probably another 7-8 more. So if you can stretch your budget to about 40, you can get the 16, which would be what I would recommend overall. So unfortunately for now, right now, because this is just launched today, Ryzen APUs in India, so this is what I've come up with. I'll look at some more websites as soon as I see more pricing and more options. And there's like MD Computers, SMC International, IT Depot. I've used IT Depot and SMC International in the past as well, so I'll make maybe one for each of them if you want, so let me know and I'll look at that as well. But the main problem right now, apart from the GPU, is the RAM, and the RAM is expensive everywhere, so that will be a problem. But if you have like slightly different budgets, or if you want me to look over that, I can make a separate one for you guys, so let me know. So that is it for the Indian market. Before I go, I just want to add that monitor for Phoenix Spider, and the monitor for now for the 720p that he wanted is the LG 19M3H 38H 18.5 inch, 19 inches basically. So this is a decent one. This is only 5,200 rupees. This is like the only one I could find that was decent enough. I mean, there are a couple of others in a similar price range, but if you are going for a 720p monitor, get something like this. 5 millisecond response time, VGA and HDMI connection, so decent overall. So now let's look at the US prices. I'm using Amazon US. Obviously there's Newegg as well, so I might, if you want, let me know, I can look at that as well. But yeah, so this is the card, and we've gone with the same case, Corsair Carbide 100R. This is exactly $50 for $49.99. The power supply is slightly different. Power supply we've gone for is the Cooler Master MWE 500 watt 80 plus bronze certified, $46.50, again decent price. Western Digital Blue 1 terabyte, $49. G-Skill 8 GB RAM. This time I've gone for 8 GB, but this is the 3200 megahertz RAM. And once again, I've left a bit of margin for you in case you want to go for the 16 GB. So this is $129, and it's a bit annoying. It's really annoying to see the prices so high. Like for example, I bought a DDR3 1600 back in 2002. No, sorry, not 2002, 2012, and I paid £64 for it back then. So if you consider that, it should translate into something similar, like $100 max for 16 GB, but fortunately we are not even getting half of that. So yeah, so 8 GB if you want to just get by. If you can bite the bullet and spend another 100 or so, get the 16, but it just feels wrong to recommend spending so much on RAM. The motherboard is once again the same one, Gigabyte GA-AB350M solid motherboard, $90, great price. And of course the processor is the 2200G, $99. Grand total comes to $463. Once again, I've left a bit of money because my aim was to get it under 500, so there is still a lot of scope. So if you want to buy something else, or if you want to change a few things here and there, you have room for maneuverability. Next we'll look at the UK Amazon, and I've got two different outlets, mostly because I have the most experience with the UK market, because I've spent a lot of time in the UK and I've built a lot of computers in that time, so I am most familiar with the UK market. So I'll recommend Amazon and Ebuyer. So first up, let's look at Amazon. We have the Corsair Carbide 100R once again, and this I believe is the windowed one. So this is $44.31, so about the same. Power supply is the Corsair VS450, £33. This is actually a good price. Western Digital Blue once again 1 terabyte, $37.50. Corsair Vengeance, and this is an exception. I've gone for the full 16 GB for the UK market, and the reason for that is prices are generally a bit higher in the UK anyway. So even if the prices drop, I don't expect them to drop so much that it will make much of a difference. For example, if we spend £110 on getting say 8 GB and you wait say a year, for example, the prices are not going to be in a state where you'll get 16 GB for £50. It'll be maybe 8 GB, you might get it for £70-80, maybe £60 for 8 GB, let's say. So even if you add that up, you spend 110 right now and you spend another 60-70, you're still close to about 170-180 anyway. So the option right now for you guys is whether you should bite the bullet now and spend the extra 30-40, or try to save that extra 30-40 and hope the prices come down and buy a bit less. So in the UK, personally, I don't know, I can't say if it makes much sense. With the eBuyer setup, I'll go with the 8 GB as well, so just to show you the difference as well. Motherboard, once again, same one. No, sorry, it's actually not the M version. This is the full size motherboard, and well, you can get the M as well. It's not much of a difference. Hopefully the case isn't too small. Yeah, so yeah, 7281. The M is about same price, about 68 or something, so you could go for that if you like, because that is more than enough, and it's not that much different as well in price. I couldn't find it in stock, so I selected this one. The processor, once again, is 90 pounds. So grand total, once again, it comes to 463 pounds. In the US it was $463. So once again, you have another 30-40 pounds to change a few things if you like. You could save a bit by going for 8 GB RAM and then maybe switching something else, but yeah, what else would you need, because this is a pretty decent build. So the other build is for the eBuyer from ebuyer.com, and this time what I've done is I've gone for the cheaper RAM, but by cheaper I mean 8 GB RAM. So processor and motherboard is the same once again. We've gone for HyperX Predator 8 GB 2x4 GB 3200 MHz RAM. This is 107. So like I said, 107 you'll spend now. Now assume that it drops down to say about $60, sorry, 60 pounds, 65 pounds for the 8 GB. So you'll be back to about 170, 172. So about similar price. So the choice is up to you whether you want to buy the 8 now and hope that it drops a little and then add another 8, or if you want to get the 16 right now and just, you know, spend the money once and be done. So case, once again, is the Corsair Carbide 100R 4818. Power supply is the, have I selected a different one? I think this is the Cooler Master, or is it? Yeah, it is the CX450 power supply. This is also by Corsair. Okay, and finally the hard drive is the Seagate Barracuda 1TB 3.5-inch hard drive. This is 3855. The hard drive and the power supply seemed reasonably priced in the UK, and obviously on Amazon the power supply was cheaper, so you can mix and match. So if you are in the UK, look at both the places and find the price where it's right, where it's cheaper, and mix and match, and you might be able to save a bit more. So once again, the total for this one is 395. The reason is obviously because we are not spending as much on the RAM, so you still have about 105 to spend on whether you want to get the other 8 GB and get it up to 16, or you could sort of buy a couple of parts from Amazon with the cheaper parts and then mix and match. So up to you. So I think this is a good budget for right now, I would say. Unfortunately, the RAM is at least about 100 more than it should be, in my opinion. So sadly, we can't really do anything about it. We can use the Ryzen processors for not buying the GPU basically, but we can't do anything about the RAM. We still need to buy the RAM. So yeah, so this is my build for the 2200G for these 3 countries. Let me know if you have any more requests. I'll probably look at making stuff for the 2400G as well, but already on the American page, American Amazon, the 2400G is out of stock, so that thing is selling like crazy, and it is a good processor, so I can understand. But for now, yeah, thank you for watching, and yeah, let me know what your thoughts are on this, and I'll see you in the next one.